A really good teacher is an even better student. And so I don't mind learning because it means that then I can turn those lessons around and teach other people. My name is Tiffany Aliche. I am better known as the Budgetnista. I'm one of 5 girls. Growing up as a kid, our house was always filled with laughter.
She was the one that kind of really was the trailblazer between my sisters and I, and we followed her lead.
My parents immigrated from Nigeria, decided to raise us here in the U.S. Education was really important in our household. My dad was an accountant. He sat down with us and had specific financial lessons.
I see how people struggle to understand their financial situations. So I decided that if I have kids, I would teach them taking care of their finances is as important as taking care of their health.
When I was in college, some girls are like the go-to for hair or like breakup advice, and I was the go-to for money. If you have a financial question, ask Tiffany.
If I'm going through something and I need someone to give me sound, wise advice, call Tiffany and ask her, because you know she'll know.
Once I graduated, I want to live a life of service. I taught preschool, fell in love with it.
She's just a natural teacher, and she thrives at that. The students loved her. She loved her students.
You really become part of the community when you're a teacher. The preschool was more than just the kids. It was a place where everyone got a chance to learn. I would teach parents how to budget, how to save, and I would show them how to do their own taxes so they didn't have to pay to get their taxes done. So by 26, I was what I like to call financially perfect. I had a car, I had a condo, I had a great credit score, I had money saved, I had a job that I enjoyed. I felt invincible, honestly, like, okay, I'm doing all the right things. Like, I'm gonna be a millionaire preschool teacher. I had a friend who I knew for a number of years, and he had this really posh apartment in the city, and so I asked my friend to teach me to invest. And he said, the first rule of investing is never use your own money. So I want you to open up a credit card, and then we're gonna pull money off those credit cards. So I pulled money off the cards. He was originally from Paris, France, so he would come to New York, buy these like American brands, bring them back to his stores and sell them. He said, that's what we're gonna do with your $20,000. It's going to yield you $2,000 a week for 2 years. And so what I decided was that I was going to use the credit card and just pay it off with the money that was gonna come to me. In like the span of 1 week, from $0 to $35,000 in debt. It took a full year for me to fully digest that my friend had stolen my money. I was 28 by then. 3 days before the new school year was supposed to start, the recession hit, I lost my job. And I was scared to death and devastated because now I have a mortgage, I have student loans, and I've got $35,000 in credit card debt, and I didn't know like what I was supposed to do. I decided I'm gonna rent out my condo and move back home with my parents. They thought it was because it was a recession.
When she came, she may have been unhappy because of the situation, but you wouldn't know it. We didn't know exactly the extent of the problem till that time.
I remember I was turning 30. I was sleeping in my middle school bed, and I just remember literally calling myself, you're kind of a loser, Tiffany. Just so much shame and fear. And I couldn't admit that I was someone who made financial mistakes too, because I had already decided that I am Tiffany, the person that's good with her money. And then that was my identity. And then all of a sudden, my identity was ripped away. So I'm not a teacher, I'm not good with my money, then what am I?
I can imagine what she must have been feeling and going through. Essentially losing everything and having to go back to square one.
I just avoided everyone. No one really knew my deepest, darkest secret. No one.
I wasn't hearing from her at all. We were used to talking like every day.
The burden was so heavy, I wanted help lifting. I wanted help. I needed somebody to know. And then I just burst out into tears. And I told her I lost my job. I even told her about the scam. I told her everything. And she started laughing.
I was like, that's it? So you went into hiding for, this is nothing, everything's gonna be fine.
Everyone's had credit card debt but you. Almost all of our friends had lost our job. It was like the first time I kind of looked around and realized that I was not the only person in the world who was having a hard time. Shame will shield you from solutions. You can't see anything but shame. And once I forgave myself, I could see the solutions in front of me. I listed everything that I owed and who I owed it to and the things that I had to pay. I was able to negotiate some of my bills down, like my credit card bill, and transfer that $35,000 to 2 cards with 0% interest. I knew I didn't want to fall into that state of depression again. And I knew that one of the reasons why I stayed there that long is because I was focused on self.
She started doing larger engagements, like offering her services for free to different community organizations.
I reached out to everyone in my inbox, and one person emailed me back. Her name was Catherine from the United Way. I remember there were 5 people in my first cohort, and we would meet every Tuesday, and the next cohort was like 20 people. Then after that, the next cohort was like 40, then 50. Other institutions started reaching out to me, colleges, churches. I took what I did at the United Way, and I created something called the Literature Challenge. Hey, hey, hey. It's me, Tiffany, the Budgetnista. January 2015, we had just above 10,000 women. We named ourselves like Beyonce has the Beehive, so we were like the dream catchers. I remember the first time someone that was homeless hit me up. She had messaged me on Facebook and said, I went from homeless to homeowner. I mean, when I talk about boo-hoo-wing, I mean, I was crying like a baby. Because you know, there's transformation and there's like, wait, what? From that, we started to form Dreamcatcher chapters. Women all around the country meeting up, working on their finances together.
She's created a community for the women in her group so they won't have to go through that shame that she experienced. She's very transparent. So I think her transparency helps them a lot.
We've had now over 900,000 women sign up for one or more of my literature challenges. We started a Facebook group, almost 500,000 women strong, and they help each other, they encourage each other, they hold each other accountable.
And this month, I paid off my last credit card.
She's created a safe haven. Anyone who comes into this group should feel safe and comfortable enough to say, this is my financial scar.
Over $200 million we've saved and paid off over $100 million worth of debt. And from that community, I have been able to do some awesome things. So I wrote Happy Birthday, Molly Moore, to create stories for the little ones that could teach the pre-financial education lessons that I learned at home with my dad.
I'm on my way to becoming debt-free because of the way Tiffany has taught me.
I worked with Assemblywoman Angela V. McKnight to write a law that made it mandatory for all middle school students in the state of New Jersey to have financial education integrated into the classroom. With age-appropriate financial education, you start to introduce and normalize talking about money. They're going to make financial mistakes, but they're going to also have the solutions because they've been taught those solutions.
I'm so proud of her. Such a big thing happened. She was able to absorb it and move on.
When you survive, you do just enough to keep your head above water, but you're not really living fully. But when you thrive, you bloom. And when you bloom, you give other people the permission to bloom as well.